Alright, training camp is officially over with, meaning that every NBA team, the Lakers included, did have to trim the roster from 21 down to a minimum of 18, including 15 players on their 15-man roster, a maximum of 15, and then 3 additional two-way contracts if they have all 3 filled. And well, that meant that a lot of good quality players just hit the open market, being waived from their training camp deal to then become a free agent. Now, yes, many of them will be heading to the G League, but definitely not all of them. There are plenty of standouts throughout preseason, and one directly that faced the Lakers and nearly dropped 30 against them. That player being Jared Butler. I've seen many Lakers fans talking about him following the Phoenix Suns surprisingly waiving him, kind of having to waive him to avoid the luxury tax and then sign Jordan Goodwin, another former Laker. And with that, the Lakers and many other teams might have interest in him, or can they have interest in him? The Lakers technically could sign him to either a standard contract or a two-way contract. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. We're going to get into that. We're also going to talk about the 4 players the Lakers waived today, whether there was a real standout among them, and whether they should try to keep one of them. And we're going to get into all of that and break it down here. So, starting with the 4 players that they waived, the group included Nate Williams, Anton Watson, Augustas Marcelionis, and RJ Davis. In my personal opinion, the standout of that group is RJ Davis, a 5-year college guard out of North Carolina. My personal favorite college team that I always root for. So I am definitely very familiar with RJ Davis. And I honestly thought that he might be a bit undersized. Coming into the NBA, the speed might take some time for him to adjust to, and he might not look like a true standout from preseason or training camp, but he still had some very solid moments with their group during preseason. He played 5 games with their team and averaged roughly 16 minutes per game, putting up between 8 and 12 points per game, 1.4 rebounds per game, and shooting an extremely impressive and efficient 50% from both the field and the three-point line. He was by far their best training camp player, clearly more productive than even Bronny James or Dalton Knecht, 2 guys who are actually on their 15-man roster. He was even more impressive than their recent two-way contract pickup, Nick Smith Jr., so you definitely could make the case for him, a case to maybe replace one of their two-way contracts like Nick Smith, if you wanted to go that direction, or even Chris Mannion since he hasn't played and is currently hurt. But there is definitely a drawback with RJ Davis, and again it's the fact that he is pretty undersized and might not translate as an effective NBA-level player, especially on defense, only being 6 feet tall, and while he wasn't really hunted on defense during preseason, that can definitely change once he faces real NBA guards. So while I wouldn't be totally against the idea, I just don't think it's very likely after they already signed Nick Smith, who didn't even play badly in preseason and had some good flashes himself, and we still haven't gotten to see much of Chris Mannion yet. They obviously are not going to waive Christian Koloko for him, since that's a completely different position, so I doubt it happens. I really don't see that move taking place. Maybe another team will pick him up instead. But the positive here is that he will probably stay with their G League squad on the South Bay Lakers, where they can keep evaluating him. Maybe in a Jordan Goodwin type situation where if he plays well, they can sign him to a two-way contract later in the season. But for right now, he won't be getting a two-way deal, and he probably won't be getting one from another team either. But that is the full update with their training camp roster, cutting it down from 21 players to 17 players overall. Again, waiving RJ Davis, Augustas Marcelionis, Nate Williams, and Anton Watson. But like I mentioned, the Lakers were not the only team that had to shrink their roster. Every other NBA team had to do the same thing. And that pushed a bunch of good players onto the open market. And in my opinion, the one that clearly stands out the most here, the true standout among any player not on a 15-man roster or two-way contract this preseason, would definitely be Jared Butler, a guard that Lakers fans already know very well. He just dropped nearly 30 points on the Lakers last week. And he was also excellent for the Phoenix Suns all throughout preseason in roughly 21 minutes per game, putting up 15.5 points per game, 3.2 rebounds per game, 4.2 assists per game, nearly 2 steals per game, and shooting 47% from the field and 35.3% from 3. And not only that, but he was actually pretty solid at the NBA level last season too. In 60-game split between Washington and Philadelphia, Jared Butler averaged 9 points per game, nearly 4 assists per game to only 1.3 turnovers per game, 1.8 rebounds per game, while shooting 45% from the field and 35.5% from deep. And while those numbers might not be insane or jaw-dropping by any stretch, they are definitely strong enough to back up what he showed during preseason, or rather preseason backed up what he already showed last year at the NBA level, and it proved he should be playing in the NBA again this season. However, the downside for him is that he is no longer two-way contract eligible. Now entering his 5th year in the NBA, he is past the 4-year limit required to qualify for a two-way deal, which officially makes him ineligible. So unfortunately for Jared Butler, that really limits his contract options, meaning he cannot sign a two-way deal and can only be added to a 15-man roster spot on either a non-guaranteed or guaranteed contract. But unfortunately for the Lakers, that ends up ruling them out on signing Jared Butler because they cannot add him to a 15-man roster spot with the limited room they have under the first apron. And unfortunately for them, this will stay the case until later in the year, around mid-January. They are simply too close to the first apron to fill that 15th spot. Neither Jared Butler nor any other player could be signed there right now either, regardless of who it is. Have 1, 5, 10, or 15 years of NBA experience, it still matters, unfortunately. And the only real way around that would be to make a salary dump style move, trading a player without taking back money or taking back much less money in return. And I really don't see that as likely for them, nor would it be a smart outcome either, because that would mean dumping somebody like Dalton Connect or Bronny James on a tiny contract, and I don't think that would be worth it for them. Yes, Jared Butler played well in preseason and even looked good last regular season too, but a salary dump move is not worth it for him or for any other waived player either. Not just for a 15-man roster spot anyway, but if you're talking about a two-way contract, then maybe you could make a real argument for replacing somebody they currently have on a two-way deal instead. Whether that be over Christian Coloco, Chris Mannion, or Nick Smith Jr., depending on who you are referring to and which open market player you want to compare them with, you could absolutely make an argument that one of those new guys deserves a two-way slot over the three players they currently have signed. And again, there are a lot of players who hit the open market, many of them not two-way eligible anymore, but many of them still are. And while there are definitely plenty to choose from, and you could build a case for a few of them, one of the names I would genuinely argue for is Jalen Bridges, a player I've mentioned before, and someone who had a training camp stint with the Boston Celtics. Unfortunately for him, he did not make their roster, neither on the 15-man roster nor on a two-way contract. He was on a two-way deal last year with Phoenix, but right now he does not have that two-way contract. And with him being a 6 feet 8 inches 3-and-D style wing, I think there should be real interest here from the Lakers and from plenty of other teams as well. After all, 6 feet 7 inches and 6 feet 8 inches wings don't grow on trees when they can shoot 39% from three like he did in the G League last season. He also averaged 1.1 steals per game to go with it, able to defend 1 through 3 and sometimes even 1 through 4 on the floor. Just the exact mold he fits and the role he can bring to a roster. I like the upside that Jalen Bridges has. And since they don't really have that skill set on the team right now, not even on a two-way deal, let alone a 15-man roster spot, I think he could be intriguing for them. And again, that goes for plenty of other NBA teams as well. 3-and-D wings are a huge commodity and will stay that way for the future, especially with guys like Luka Doncic, LeBron, and Austin Reeves on your team who need that archetype around them. I would definitely take a look at a guy like him because again, they really don't have much of that skill set on their current roster. But overall, those are my thoughts on the 4 players the Lakers waived from their team, or rather from their training camp roster that they were forced to cut. The waiving of Jared Butler from the Phoenix Suns, and whether the Lakers can or should try to sign him. Unfortunately, they simply cannot right now. If he is somehow still on the open market by January, then absolutely they should take another look. But again, they don't have a choice at the moment. They cannot fill that 15th spot and he is not two-way contract eligible. But when it comes to an extra two-way contract, maybe a guy like Jalen Bridges could make sense. But beyond that, I think their roster is basically fine and they really cannot make another move since all 3 two-way contract spots are already taken and they still cannot fill that 15th roster spot. So with all of that said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the Lakers waiving RJ Davis, Augustas Marcelionis, Nate Williams, and Anton Watson along with the Phoenix Suns waiving Jared Butler? Do you agree with those moves for either team or do you think it was the wrong call? And how do you think the Lakers should move forward from here with that in mind? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But I think that will pretty much wrap things up for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, I would really appreciate you dropping a like, subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and hitting the notification bell so you never miss when I post a video. But as always, thanks for watching and have a great day or night.